It's pretty exciting. You bought a house, you're under contract, you have a closing date, scheduled the movers, you've done everything to get ready for closing day, but there are some mistakes that you definitely want to avoid so that you don't delay the closing date. What do you think the biggest mistakes are when people are closing on a home? There's kind of a long list. I'm going to go through 7 today, but you want to be sure to avoid these and any others that might affect your closing. Be sure to hit the like button and hit the subscribe button to join the growing community here at Living in Northern Utah. We're super excited to have you and want to keep growing and helping you navigate the real estate in Northern Utah. I'm Stacey Christopherson with Coldwell Banker. Today, we're going to just talk about I have a list of 7 things that come up when people are closing on homes that delay the closing, cancel the closing, which would be absolute worst case scenario. But let's go through the list so you can be sure to avoid these, because purchasing a home is obviously an amazing thing. Biggest purchase you'll ever make, and so let's make sure it goes smoothly for you. Number 1 on the list is opening credit. Don't open a new credit card. Don't go to the furniture store and open credit at the furniture store. So everything's predicated on your credit score, your interest rate, the terms of your loan, and opening up new credit, which they do check right before you close. They pull another credit check, can affect your loan terms and actually the purchase of the home. So definitely do not open up any new credit. This kind of takes me into number 2, which is don't make any big purchases. And typically you would use credit to purchase those, but for heaven's sake, do not go buy a car. You can buy a car, but it has to be after you have closed on the house, funded and recorded, you have the keys, you moved in, help yourself. Go buy 10 cars, but don't buy any cars or big purchases like a whole house worth of furniture while you are in the process. This affects your debt to income ratio, also known as the DTI. That is also checked right before closing. So you don't want to change any of that when you're at the end of the process. The next thing you want to avoid is changing or quitting your job. As your credit, same as your credit, they're going to call your employer before closing to confirm that you still work where you said you worked and you're still making the same amount of money that you said you were making in your application. So if you quit or change jobs, typically the lender's going to need 30 more days. You have to get at least 1 paycheck. Sometimes they need 2 months worth. So this can delay a closing huge. So hang on to that job. Again, once you close on the house, knock yourself out. But in the process, you got to sit tight and hang on to that job that you used in the application. So since you have not quit your job, you will remember to pay your bills, right? Yeah, so don't forget to pay your bills. You can't have a late payment on credit card, or if you do have a car payment, you don't want a late payment on your credit because, again, it affects your credit score. So make sure you're paying your bills on time. Automatic payment is a beautiful thing with all your bills, but certainly while you're purchasing a home, just be super diligent about paying your bills on time, in full, whatever you need to do so that it doesn't change any of the factors that are required for you to close on the home. Another thing you want to avoid is changing banks. So you know how you've turned in all this paperwork, you've turned in weeks and months of bank statements, and if it took longer, they've asked for refreshed bank statements. Well, if you change banks and you can't prove where your earnest money came from, where your down payment is, any of that, it can also affect closing. During the process of purchasing a home, the lender is going to request all kinds of paperwork. It's from day 1, right? You do the application, you turn in your W-2, your pay statements, all of that stuff. Well, as the process goes, they ask for more paperwork. They'll ask for, they might need a letter that you have to sign. The underwriter at the end of the day says, hey, we need to see this from them before we can get final approval. So don't delay when the lender comes back to you and says, hey, we need this, get it to them as soon as possible. So when the lender asks for it, the underwriter typically has asked for it. So then the lender talks to you, you turn it in, the lender gets it, turns it back into the underwriter, and then the underwriting process starts again. So if you delay, it delays the whole underwriting process, which is required to get final approval. Make sure you're paying attention to your lender, you guys have good communication, and you know what is required, what is needed from you throughout the entire process. If you don't know, if you feel like you haven't been communicated with enough with your lender, talk to them and tell them you're confused or you don't know where we are. A good lender is going to sit down with you, stop, and just talk you through the process of where you are and what he needs from you. Another thing that you want to avoid when closing on a home is just not having access to your funds. If you are taking money from an IRA or some type of 401k for your down payment, it needs to be in your checking account and accessible before closing. You will get wiring instructions from the title company and maybe the lender a couple days before, and you need to have access to those funds on closing day so that you can wire those funds. If they're not available, sometimes 401ks, IRAs, and stuff like that, they take a while to transfer and get your funds. So that needs to be done up front so that you have those funds at closing, and typically you're almost always going to wire any money that's required at closing. You're going to wire that in versus like coming in with a cashier's check or a personal check. That's something too with your bank. You just want to make sure that wiring funds is easy. A lot of times you can just do it on their mobile app. Did I miss anything? Make sure you post down in the comments if you can think of something to avoid when closing on a home. And then, do you have any questions about real estate? If you go down into the comments, the first link there is my Calendly link, and you can click make an appointment. Let's chat. 30-minute appointments. We can talk if you're looking to buy or sell, or you just kind of want to get a feel for the market or have some questions about real estate. So go click that first link down in the comments and it'll take you right to my calendar and we can connect. Have a great day.